The siblings who took me home were cannon fodder in the book. The brother, gloomy and aloof, was drawn to the warm, sunny heroine. The sister, sensitive and starved for love, willingly sacrificed everything for the male lead. They thought they had found salvation. Little did they know, the male and female leads were just using them as stepping stones. To maintain my wealthy lifestyle, I decided to steal the roles of the male and female leads, when my brother was feeling world-weary again. I kissed his cheek, soft and sweet-smelling. Brother, you're like a little cream cake. Even the coldest man would crack a smile upon hearing such praise. When my little sister cried secretly in the middle of the night, I cried along with her. The beautiful stars are going to drown in the water. What should we do? She wiped away her tears and smiled helplessly, then pulled me into her embrace. Later, the male and female leads, who could never seem to arrange a meeting, grew anxious and took the initiative to visit, only to find the siblings working overnight to help me finish my kindergarten craft assignment. Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. At the moment I lost consciousness while saving a drowning child, I wished that in my next life, I would be born smelling the luxurious skincare products on my mother, hearing the hearty laughter of my old money father, and feeling the gentle touch of my chairman grandfather's broad hands. But when I opened my eyes, I was peacefully lying in a trash can. Haha, wasn't it said that good people get good rewards? Then why did I get such a disastrous start? The trash can lid was closed. I was almost suffocated by the foul stench of various garbage mixed together. Staring at the chubby little hands in front of me that resembled lotus roots, I fell into a long silence. There's no other way to survive. I had no choice but to cry. I don't know how long I wailed, but eventually, someone seemed to notice the commotion in this rundown alley. The sound of leather shoes scraping against the ground gradually drew closer to me. Who understands the redemptive feeling of that moment when daylight is seen again? I found myself staring wide-eyed at a middle-aged man dressed in a neat suit with white gloves on his hands. The butler. Is it my dear butler who's come to fetch me? I knew it. I must be the true heiress swapped by that wicked nanny. I urgently reached out my hand toward him. Quickly take me back to the 1,000-square-meter villa with a swimming pool to enjoy life. Don't let my mommy and daddy worry too much. A few minutes later, I found myself in a black luxury car, continuing to stare wide-eyed at the two high school students from the elite academy in the back seat. The butler said hesitantly, "Young master, young lady, the slums are not far from here, and there are a few vocational high schools nearby. This child is probably abandoned. Should we take her to the police station first?" We're screwed. The two, with features so exquisite they seemed unreal, nodded coldly. The butler showed a relaxed smile. "Then I'll trouble the young master and young lady to take care of it first." I was thrust into the young master's hands, and he held me stiffly, at a complete loss. I'm a sucker for good looks. Seeing a face more striking than that of a top celebrity up close, I couldn't help but reach out to touch it. Seeing the mocking expression on the young lady's face beside him, his face instantly darkened. He shoved me into her hands. "What a nuisance, you hold her." The young lady froze in the same manner, seeing their strikingly similar divine looks. I couldn't help but giggle out loud. She unconsciously caught the smile, her lips just beginning to curve when she noticed the young master's leisurely gaze beside her. The young lady immediately pouted. "It smells like garbage, so disgusting." With that, she placed me on the middle seat of the car. The car was spacious, more than enough to accommodate the three of us. But the mere thought of the miserable life awaiting me in the orphanage made me burst into genuine, heartfelt sobs. The young master, unable to bear the noise any longer, reached out and picked me up. Seeing his face, I felt happy again, my tears turning to laughter. He put me down, and I cried once more. The young lady picked me up, and I laughed again. She put me down, and I cried again. Suddenly, both of them became interested. It was like a game of tag. Pick up, put down, pick up again, put down again, ha ha ha, wah, ha ha ha, wah. After dozens of cycles, the butler's gentle voice sounded. "The police station is here." I burst into tears instantly, the volume loud enough to blow the car roof off. The young master and young lady exchanged glances. A few seconds later, they spoke in unison. "Stay." The butler was highly efficient and quickly completed the adoption procedures for me. And I also learned the identities of the young master and young lady. City the top aristocratic family, the twin siblings of the Chi family, and now I've become their younger sister, Linda. Don't be envious just yet, Because these two are actually the biggest cannon fodders in a classic childhood sweetheart's revenge story. The siblings have both prestigious family backgrounds and stunning looks, yet they can't seem to piece together a complete family. Mr. and Mrs. Chi divorced shortly after giving birth to them and quickly reunited with their former lovers. In their eyes, these children were merely the product of a union of interests, thus, they showed no concern for them over the years. Children who have never been loved since childhood can hardly be expected to grow into embodiments of truth, kindness, and beauty. In short, Timothy and Molly each have personalities more eccentric and twisted than the other. Despite being siblings bound by blood, they simply can't get along. To make matters worse, they encountered the male and female leads, childhood sweethearts who emerged from the Valley of Villains. The pair deliberately created opportunities to get close to the siblings, then worked in tandem to drive a permanent wedge between them. The elder brother, gloomy and aloof, is drawn to the warm and sunny heroine. The younger sister, sensitive and starved for love, willingly sacrifices everything for the male lead. Little do they know, the redemption is fake. They are merely stepping stones on the protagonist's path to success. In the end, after being drained of their remaining value, they are callously cast aside. The unconventional righteous protagonist image and the relationship between the male and female leads, where genuine feelings are mixed with personal interests, have readers exclaiming it's a masterpiece and shouting how thrilling it is. Thrilling. I'm not feeling so thrilled right now. Even the imported milk powder carefully prepared by the nanny doesn't taste good anymore. That's how babies are, they can't help but burst into loud cries at the slightest unhappiness. Quickly attracted Timothy and Molly over, the nanny held me, utterly overwhelmed. The young miss doesn't know what's wrong, nothing can soothe her, yet the moment Timothy took me, I stopped crying instantly. They stared at each other in silence. The nanny chuckled. Young master, the little miss is quite attached to you. The corners of his lips twitched upward for a moment before he forced them back down. What a nuisance, keep fussing and I'll send you back to the trash can. Me. That's too much. I immediately reached out to Molly for a hug. She looked quite surprised and cautiously extended her arms. Timothy, however, picked me up and walked away. She's sleepy, hold her next time. Molly gritted her teeth. She clearly wants me to hold her. Give her to me, you're so clumsy. What if you drop and kill her? Timothy, listening to the bickering of the siblings, I gradually closed my eyes drowsily and clenched my tiny fists. Both my brother and sister are kind-hearted good children, absolutely won't allow the male and female leads to get involved. The only advantage of being a baby is the freedom to be willful. I cry if I don't see Timothy and Molly for a few hours. The nanny skillfully glanced at the clock and confirmed it was noon school time before making the call. The call was quickly answered. How was Linda's day today? Hearing Molly's voice, I babbled and reached out to grab the phone. Call me sister. Honk honk, a light chuckle came from the other end, and the phone was quickly taken over by Timothy. He instructed the nanny and the housekeeper to take me for my second dose of polio vaccine and the first dose of DPT vaccine. He also asked how many milliliters of milk I drank each time and whether my bowel movements were normal, reminding her to frequently give me massages. During this period, he had become a professional dad mom. As soon as he got home, he would feed me and change my diapers. Molly would play the handbell with me, guiding me to practice my speech and language skills. The two of them had a clear division of labor, though they often argued over who got to hold me. Yet, the once empty villa gradually became filled with warmth and life. Today, they didn't return home on time after school. The butler softened his tone to comfort me. Your brother and sister went back to the old house for a birthday celebration today, so they'll be home a little later. In the original plot, Chi's father and mother were surprisingly planning to come back to celebrate their birthday with them for once. Though the siblings complained verbally, deep down they held a faint hope. They waited for their parents for a long time, only to find out when they called that their parents had already forgotten about it. There was no apology, no remorse, just a perfunctory transfer of money. Are they short of money? What they lack is care and love on their path of growth. So, to cling to the little warmth given by the male and female leads, they willingly throw themselves into the fire like moths. Sure enough, when they returned, one was gloomy, the other desolate. They didn't even come to the nursery to see me before each returning to their own rooms. I sighed. Here comes the big move again. Wah. Soon, the sound of a slammed door echoed. Timothy walked to my bedside with a scowl to check my diaper. You didn't even pull it. Why are you crying? I remained silent. crying uncontrollably, and even his attempts to comfort me by holding me didn't help. Timothy had no choice but to call Molly out. Her eyes were slightly red, already in a bad mood, and seeing me like this made her even angrier. He roughly placed me into the cradle. Go to sleep now. I began fiddling with the wind chime above my head with my hands, struggling to make sounds as I played. Happy, 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 the babbling of a baby and the crisp sound of wind chimes colliding. As if they truly composed a birthday song, they froze in place. After a long pause, Timothy raised his hand to cover his face and burst into laughter. Molly was also infected, turning her face away with a snort, though the curve of her lips grew even more pronounced. I finally let out a sigh of relief, just about to sleep when Timothy opened his phone camera. Let's do it again, so you won't grow up and complain on social media that we didn't document you, me. Just say you want to show off on your social media. Soon, Timothy and Molly entered their second year of high school, perfectly avoided all the plot points where they would have interacted with the main characters. Just as I let my guard down, Timothy has lost contact. The butler sent people to search for him for a full day and night. The next day, he finally returned, covered in bruises and scratches. Behind him followed a girl in a white dress, equally disheveled. Her face looked pure and innocent, but a glint of shrewdness flashed in her eyes as she surveyed the understated yet luxurious villa. Oh no, the family fortune is in danger. After the family doctor finished treating the wounds, Timothy then explained that he had gone hiking on a whim and unexpectedly encountered the female lead, Lilith. The two accidentally fell down a steep slope. Their phones were broken, but fortunately, they didn't suffer any serious injuries. Me. I don't believe for a second that this has nothing to do with Lilith. When Lilith came out, she saw Timothy teasing me. She feigned surprise. Is this your little sister? So adorable. Timothy always feels happy when people compliment me. He looked joyfully at Lilith. Would you like a hug? All right, don't come any closer. When she suddenly reached out her hand, I burst into tears with a wail, more heart-wrenching than ever before. Timothy paused mid-motion, looking at the visibly embarrassed Lilith. Sorry, she might be a bit shy with strangers. Lilith quickly adjusted her expression, showing great understanding, and even complimented me on being vigilant and able to protect myself. These words Timothy felt thoroughly pleased. His gaze towards her softened even more, and he instructed the butler to personally see her home. As expected of the female lead, she easily captivated her useless brother with just a little trick. I closed my eyes wearily. Molly didn't come back until evening, occasionally glancing at her phone with hopeful eyes. The corners of his lips curled up uncontrollably. The girl's first blush of love set off alarm bells in my mind. Timothy also sensed something was wrong and frowned. Where did you go today? Molly glared at him. None of your business. Are you in a puppy love? How dare you question me? What were you doing in the middle of nowhere? Spending the night alone with her, and then bringing her back. Sounds like you're the one with the early romance. We were worried all night, and you were having a great time. Timothy was left speechless. Molly cast a mocking glance at him and got up to return to her room. I waved my hands while babbling. Oh no. As soon as the male and female leads appeared, the sibling bond fell apart. At night, just as I was drowsily about to fall asleep, I heard someone tiptoeing to my bedside. The familiar faint fragrance lingered around my nose. It was Timothy. He gently lifted my head and slipped something under my pillow. Linda, be good. Big brother didn't mean to make you worry. Yesterday I met a fortune teller at a street stall. He said someone in our family has the fate of dying young. Of course I don't believe in such things, but when it involves you, I couldn't rest easy, so I followed his advice and went to the temple to get a protective charm, just for peace of mind. Timothy looked at me for a long time, as if he couldn't help but laugh at himself. Brother must have been tricked, right, but it's okay. Linda must grow up safe and sound, so he went up the mountain for my sake. I couldn't hold back my tears and burst into crying. Timothy quickly picked me up and comforted me. Did you have a nightmare? It's okay, Big Brother is here. He softly hummed a lullaby, his voice deep and soothing. As my consciousness gradually faded, I clenched my fists and swore, I will definitely protect them, but I was still too young to do anything. In places I couldn't see, Timothy and Molly crossed paths with the male and female leads, gradually growing closer. Lilith used Timothy's act of saving her as an excuse to repay him, bringing him breakfast and handmade trinkets she made. She lived in the slums. Timothy often worried about her safety when going home alone and would frequently give her a ride. After their last unpleasant parting, Molly never went to or from school with Timothy again. A few times, I saw the male lead Stephen riding a beat-up bicycle to bring her home. Handsome guy, beautiful girl, youthful and carefree. It was like watching an idle drama. I rolled my eyes silently. Soon came my first birthday, and they held a first-year celebration for me. Timothy placed me on a blanket surrounded by various symbolic items: abacus, book, rattle drum, scissors, toy piano, gourd, wooden hammer. Under the excited and expectant gazes of the onlookers, I didn't hesitate to crawl toward that $100 bill. Mumbling incoherently, I chanted, "Money come, money come, money come." Timothy and Molly fell into a deep silence. Exchanging a glance, the two began shifting blame with practiced ease. Timothy: "I told you not to play with your phone in front of Linda." Molly spat, "I should be asking you. Linda is naturally smart. What if she picks up bad habits from you?" By this point, I could barely manage to communicate. "Brother, sister, no mad, no mad." Timothy picked me up. "Linda, do you really like this?" My eyes sparkled. "I love money," he sighed helplessly. "Fine, as long as you like it. It's not like we're short on money anyway." Molly suddenly thought of something, her expression darkening. "Don't forget, Dad's girlfriend is pregnant now. She'll be competing with us for the family fortune later." Timothy looked at me, his eyes flickering slightly. "What belongs to us, no one can take away, even if it's for Linda. We must protect this family." Molly unexpectedly agreed. "First, we need to improve our grades. The heir of the Chi family can't be a good-for-nothing." "Right, let's hire some tutors." "It's lit." I raised my arms and shouted, "Tutoring, tutoring." The next day, Lilith and Stephen appeared at home. Then look at Timothy and Molly, one with ears turning red at the tips, one whose gaze keeps chasing after someone else. I smacked my forehead hard in frustration. "Brother, sister, you've let a wolf into your house." At the end of their second year of high school, their school organized an outing. Timothy and Molly initially scoffed at such group activities, but now, because of Lilith and Stephen, they both decided to participate. At the last moment before departure, I cried uncontrollably. My intuition told me that the male and female leads were definitely going to take advantage of the situation. I didn't want them to go, so, like a spoiled child, I stood in front of them wailing. The nanny quickly picked me up to comfort me. "Big brother and sister will be back soon. Let's wait at home nicely." "Okay, no." Timothy pondered for a moment and soon came up with a solution that pleased everyone. He decided to take me along. Me. "Linda is old enough now, it's time to take her out more to experience nature." A perfectly valid reason, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to it than meets the eye. Molly surprisingly didn't have any objections either, and so, we set off. We were the last to arrive, and the moment I stepped out of the car, I became the brightest spark in the crowd. For a moment, the air was filled with adorable exclamations. I responded with a sweet smile. The crowd instantly erupted into screams of excitement. When I saw Timothy and Molly's lips curving with restrained yet pleased smiles, I finally understood their scheme. Apparently, posting on social media was no longer enough for them. Now they've started showing off in person. Soon, a few girls tentatively approached. "Molly, can we hug your sister?" Their expressions were sincere, yet carried a hint of politeness and unease. After all, Timothy and Molly came from prestigious families and had rather solitary personalities, making people somewhat hesitant to approach them. This also means they don't even have a close friend and have never experienced normal friendship, making them easily manipulated by the male and female leads. I decided to help them make other friends, so I proactively reached out to the girl. "Sis, hug." Her eyes widened, and her heart melted. Molly hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Then I'll trouble you to look after her for a while." The girls were pleasantly surprised, probably not expecting her to be so agreeable. Soon, I was getting along well with their class. "Sister, as beautiful as a flower." "Ah, so adorable." A sunny, cheerful young man exerted tremendous effort to squeeze into the circle of onlookers. "I want to play too." "Baby, say it. Your brother is very handsome." I looked at him sincerely. "Brother, you're very handsome." He immediately grinned, no longer afraid even when seeing the visibly annoyed Timothy, and even deliberately teased me. "Then tell me, who's more handsome, me or your brother?" I blinked my eyes. "My brother is handsome." The whole class burst into laughter. He scratched his head. "Well, that's actually true." Hearing my answer, Timothy's cold expression finally began to thaw, and the atmosphere became warm and harmonious, until Stephen approached me with a gentle smile. "Little one, I haven't held you yet." For a moment, I felt as if a venomous snake had locked its gaze on me. Unable to control my instinctive terror, I buried my head in Timothy's chest. Timothy patted me on the back and glanced at him expressionlessly. "You scared her." Stephen forced a stiff smile and turned to leave. Molly hurriedly chased after him. Lilith shot an angry glance at Timothy before turning and walking away. She felt Timothy deliberately embarrassed Stephen because he couldn't stand Lilith and Stephen being close. He seized the opportunity to make this incident a catalyst for their relationship to grow even closer. Timothy slightly changed his expression, entrusted me to a female classmate for a while, and also chased after them. The sister holding me looked at the direction they left with a gossipy expression and softly clicked her tongue. "Honey, your brother and Lilith seem to have something going on." I covered my face in agony. It's all my fault for messing up. Unexpectedly, as soon as we got home, Timothy and Molly started arguing. "Why do you always have a problem with Lilith? Did she do something to upset you?" Molly said angrily. "She provoked me first. She knew I liked Stephen, yet she deliberately acted intimate with him in front of me." Timothy frowned. "That's not like her. She grew up with Stephen. They're just good friends." "And what about you? Aren't you also jealous of Stephen and always treating him poorly?" The two reached a stalemate and parted on bad terms. It even affected me. Timothy changed my diaper with a cold expression. "Linda, you're so rude. You're friendly to everyone. Yet you treat Lilith differently, and she hasn't even bullied you. Who am I doing all this for?" Kids can't control their emotions, so I immediately got so angry I turned my back on him. "Hate her, she's bad, don't like her, Linda." I decided I wouldn't smile at them anymore. After this, the three of us fell into a cold war. Timothy and Molly came back later and later, and I gradually freed myself from dependence on them. They already found me annoying anyway, so this just suits them better. At 14 months, I started getting used to walking. At 16 months, I began learning to eat with a spoon on my own. At 20 months, I could speak complete sentences and was becoming fluent. Although the nanny always sends videos to Timothy and Molly, but on certain nights, I can always feel their gaze and sighs. Sometimes it's Timothy. "Linda, you've learned to be independent so early. I should be happy, but why does my heart feel so empty?" Sometimes it's Molly. "You change every day. We can hardly keep up with your pace. We've missed so many of your firsts. What a pity, darling. Growing up isn't fun. Slow down a little more." Three awkward individuals, yet their hearts yearned to cling tightly together. In the blink of an eye, Timothy and Molly were in their senior year of high school. On my second birthday, they both had to go out. Turns out Lilith also had her birthday today. Timothy planned to spend some time with her during the day and return in the evening to celebrate my birthday. As for Molly, I don't know what trick Stephen used to ask her out again. They crouched guiltily in front of me. "Linda, the butler and the maid will keep you company. We'll be back soon." "Okay." I fought back my tears. "It's okay, you guys go ahead. I'll wait for you to come back. I don't want to make things worse and cause them to argue again. Nor do I want to be scolded for being impolite anymore. It's just a birthday, nothing to feel wronged about." But when they really left, tears couldn't stop falling. Seeing Linda being so sensible, Timothy didn't feel the expected sense of relief. Instead, it felt like my whole heart was being squeezed, with waves of suffocating tightness. My mind was filled with Linda. What is she doing right now? Would she miss them? Would she cry in secret? Lilith called out to him several times before he finally snapped out of it. She asked curiously, "What's wrong? You seem distracted." Timothy mumbled something. "Sorry, I was thinking about something at home." Lilith suddenly understood. "Timothy, you don't have to keep all your troubles bottled up inside. I've been through similar situations. I understand you better than anyone." Timothy, you've raised children before. Do you understand my heart's concern for the child?" Timothy looked at her puzzled, but she mistook it for him opening up. Lilith suppressed a fleeting smile in her eyes, yet her expression showed deep empathy. "Our parents gave birth but didn't raise us," showing no care for their children's growth. They only cared about their own pleasures, yet always vented their emotions on the children. Such people don't deserve to be parents. Your resentment toward them is justified, so don't feel troubled or conflicted about it. Timothy froze. After a long pause, his eyelashes fluttered slightly as sudden enlightenment dawned upon him. "You're right, I can't be that kind of parent, Lilith." After explaining the reason and apologizing, he turned and ran. When he pushed open the door, drenched in sweat, he found the house already decorated with colorful birthday streamers and banners. Meanwhile, Molly and Linda were busy inflating balloons. Timothy looked at the scene, and the emptiness in his chest from the entire morning was instantly filled with happiness. He slowly walked over and covered Linda's eyes. "Guess who I am?" Linda threw herself into his arms, overwhelmed with excitement. "Brother." He picked up Linda and looked at Molly. "How come you're back?" Molly smiled back. "Nothing is more important than family, right?" "Yes, nothing is more important than family." Because of this incident, Lilith and Stephen probably developed a sense of crisis. The prey is gradually slipping out of control, so they're getting a bit anxious. Lilith came to the house to tutor Timothy, and I heard them arguing. "Timothy, you're an independent person with your own life. You can't devote all your energy to your sister, can you?" Timothy took a deep breath and explained in a low voice. "Linda is still young and needs companionship. You've said it yourself. We can't be irresponsible parents." Lilith flashed a hint of impatience on her face. "You have a housekeeper at home, and besides, she's just someone you picked up, not even your real sister." Timothy was incredulous. He never expected such words to come from Lilith's mouth. "Lilith, what are you saying?" She realized she had said the wrong thing and paled slightly. "Timothy, that's not what I meant. Let's end today's tutoring session here. You can go now." Lilith saw his refusal to communicate and had no choice but to leave first. She saw me as she walked out. Her pitiful and fragile expression instantly turned icy. She mouthed the words, "Bastard." I instinctively took a step back, staring blankly at her retreating figure. A long time later, I knocked on my brother's door. His voice sounded heavy. "Come in." I looked up at the doorknob and sighed. "Brother, it's me. I can't get in." He quickly opened the door and carried me inside. "Weren't you tidying up your toys? Why did you come looking for me?" "Because I could tell you were unhappy." He raised an eyebrow. "How did you sense it?" I seriously covered my chest with my hand. "It told me. Because when you're unhappy, I become unhappy too." Timothy paused for a moment, turned his head slightly, and pretended to be helpless. "Where did you learn all these sweet words at such a young age?" I took the chance to give him a kiss. Soft and sweet-smelling." "Brother, you're like a little cream cake. Little cake can't be unhappy, or it won't taste sweet anymore." Even the coldest man would crack a smile upon hearing such praise. "Big brother is happy now." "Thank you, Linda." I chuckled and said, "You're welcome." Timothy had just been normal for a couple of days when Molly started having issues again. She didn't come back until almost midnight. Looking utterly dejected and unwilling to talk to anyone, I volunteered to sleep with her. Late at night, I heard a very faint sound of sobbing. Turning around, I saw her crying with her back to me. I gently patted her back with my small hand. "Big sister, did you have a nightmare?" "Don't be afraid. Linda is here." Molly stiffened slightly, then cried even harder. I panicked and simply started wailing too. "The beautiful stars are going to drown in the water. What should we do?" She froze, remembering how I once said her eyes seemed filled with little stars when she smiled. Now the two of them are crying as if in a competition. Molly suddenly laughed through her tears and helplessly turned around to pull me into a hug. "No more crying, no more crying. Let's both stop crying." Her voice was still a bit hoarse. I sobbed and asked, "Sister, why are you unhappy? You told me before that if you're unhappy, you should say it out loud and not cry secretly by yourself." Molly pouted, and her grievances, like a floodgate opening, could no longer be contained. "Sister is just a little sad. She had kept it bottled up for too long, and facing a child like me who understood nothing, she finally felt the urge to confide." It turns out Molly met Stephen on the day Timothy disappeared. She went to look for Timothy near the school but encountered a group of troublemakers, and it was Stephen who swooped in to save her. He was one of the few who understood me, listening gently to my troubles. I liked him a lot. But he always favored Lilith more. Every time Lilith acted hurt, he would still be gentle as usual, but he'd look at me with disappointment in his eyes. Even Timothy thought I was bullying her, but I never did anything bad to her. I comforted her sympathetically. "Sister did nothing wrong. Brother is bad." Molly was weeping uncontrollably, her eyes filled with confusion. "Stephen confessed his feelings to me tonight. I was happy, but he wanted me to give myself to him." The look in his eyes scared me, so I hesitated. "He said I didn't trust him." "Yes, I like him too, so why did I resist?" "Me. Stephen actually did such a despicable thing. I reasonably suspect Timothy's disappearance and Stephen's heroic rescue were all orchestrated by them. How could such a coincidence happen at this moment? I can't even care about maintaining my character anymore." He quickly looked at her with a serious expression. "My brother taught me that anyone who makes a child feel scared is a bad person, and we must protect ourselves. But Steven saved me. He's not a bad person. You should say thank you when someone saves you, not offer yourself in return. Sister, that's what you taught me. Molly was stunned at that moment. A period drama was playing on TV, just at the scene where a woman was pledging herself to her savior in gratitude, and I was watching intently, given how quickly I learn everything. Molly worried that I might easily be fooled by some smooth talker in the future, so she hurried to correct me. Never thought these words would come back to her. She seemed to have untied the knot in her heart, a relieved smile spreading across her face. Linda is right. Big sister will lead by example and protect herself well. You're amazing, sis. We fell asleep in each other's arms, and this time, both of us slept soundly. After a long while, the faint footsteps outside the door finally faded away. A series of setbacks left Lilith and Steven increasingly restless. They decided to leave Molly completely isolated and helpless, and Steven would be the only lifeline she could cling to, so Lilith deliberately arranged to meet Molly in the old equipment room. Deliberately provoking her as usual. Your brother likes me. Steven likes me too. Molly, you're such a failure. Molly just smiled. I don't care. So what if no one stands by her side? Her sister will always love her unconditionally. Molly turned and walked away. Lilith's expression changed. Then she sneered. Then give it a try. She slapped herself hard across the face, instantly swelling one side. Back in the classroom, she deliberately sobbed quietly to draw her classmates' attention. Lilith. What's wrong? She deliberately cast a frightened glance at Molly. The crowd watched them with meaningful looks in their eyes. Molly laughed in anger. You wouldn't say I did this, would you? Lilith had tears welling up in her eyes, looking even more pitiful after seeing Timothy enter the classroom. I know you like Steven, but I've told you many times, we're just friends. I won't compete with you for him. Why won't you let me go? Timothy paused mid-step. Then after a moment walked toward Lilith. Molly twitched the corner of her mouth, lowered her eyes to conceal the fleeting sarcasm, but the next second, Lilith had no time to flash a victor's smile, nor did Steven waiting outside get to play the rescuer. Timothy spoke up. What makes you think I wouldn't believe my own sister? Lilith froze. Timothy stared fixedly at her, let out a light scoff, then turned and walked toward the stunned Molly. He patted her head. Don't worry. I won't let you suffer this injustice for no reason. Molly responds better to kindness than to force. She's always been proud when faced with accusations, but genuine concern leaves her at a loss for how to react. Her eyes reddened. Bro, I didn't hit her. Big brother knows. We'll check the surveillance footage. Lilith flashed a momentary look of panic, but quickly composed herself, even attempting to turn the tables. Molly, you knew there were no cameras there all along, didn't you? That's why you dared to lay hands on me. Apologies, but as shareholders of this school, our Chi family naturally has an obligation to construct and improve campus facilities. I had technicians install and inspect them days ago. Lilith turned even paler at this point. Her lips quivered as she was about to say something, but a smiling girl interrupted her. Oh, there's no need for all this trouble. I was resting there at the time and happened to catch quite a show. I even recorded it. Molly turned to look and realized this was the girl who had hugged Linda during the previous outing. She smiled and said, Your sister already told me I'm beautiful and kind-hearted, so of course I should do a good deed every day. If you want to thank me, just invite me to your place to hang out with your sister. The other classmates burst into laughter. Even without surveillance, I'd still believe in Molly. As the saying goes, one takes on the color of one's company. With such an adorable and well-behaved child, Timothy and Molly's character couldn't possibly be bad. Exactly. We've been classmates for 3 years. How could we not know what kind of person she is? Last time, Molly even lent me sanitary pads. Although we don't talk much usually, she's a very kind person. Everyone chimed in with their opinions. Lilith and Steven were completely panicked. The video exposed her staged act to the public, and everyone's gaze towards her was filled with disdain. She was forced to apologize, casting a pleading look at Steven. This time, Steven chose self-preservation. The siblings went home together for the first time in a long while. Timothy shared what he had discovered with Molly. She couldn't believe it. Are you saying those hooligans were hired by Steven? And he deliberately showed up in front of me at the right moment. Timothy nodded. Back then, I fell down the mountain because Lilith suddenly screamed behind me on purpose. When I turned around, I tripped over a rock, and she came down with me. I thought she was just overly concerned in the moment, but now it seems they were in cahoots all along. What could we possibly have that's worth all this trouble to them? Molly's face darkened. Money. The two sat in silence in the car for a long time. Being deceived for so long, thinking that the sincerity was all fake, no one could accept that. Timothy thought of something and wearily rubbed his temples. Linda was kind to everyone, except she couldn't stand Lilith and Stephen. They say a child's intuition is the most accurate. I should have realized it sooner. I wronged her, Molly. I owe you an apology too. Molly was momentarily stunned, then smiled without a trace of gloom. Brother, it's not your fault. We were all deceived. The most important thing now is to remember this lesson, protect Linda, safeguard our family assets, and not let those with ulterior motives take advantage again. As long as we trust each other, we are invincible. She extended her pinky finger. Timothy met her sincere gaze, smiled at the corners of his lips, and reached out to hook his finger with hers. Pinky promise. No matter what happens, we will always believe in each other. At this moment, I smacked my lips at home, rolled over and went back to sleep. The afternoon sun today was warm and cozy, truly delightful. Soon, the day of the college entrance exams came to an end. I asked the butler to take me to wait outside the exam hall for them. I even deliberately wore a small red cheongsam, symbolizing a victorious start. As the bell rang, students began to emerge one after another. I sat on the butler's shoulders, waving the toy in my hand. Timothy and Molly were strikingly handsome and noble, always the center of attention wherever they went. I quickly spotted their location. Brother, sister, Linda is here. They walked toward me, smiling. Thanks to Linda coming to cheer us on, the problems seemed much easier. Looks like the exams went well. I gave each of them a warm kiss. Big brother and sister are the best. Their classmates also noticed me and let out a surprised exclamation. Little cutie is here too. Sweetie, I used to hold you when you were a baby, remember? Hee. You said I was even more handsome than your brother back then. Bullshit, you're just fooling kids. TSK, no swearing, there are too many people. I'm feeling a bit dizzy. Timothy carried me over, his gaze gentle. All right, we're going home now. The once cheerful boy now casually rests his hand on Timothy's shoulder. Bring your sister to the graduation party when the time comes. Timothy glares at him. You might as well just have it at my place. Hee, that sounds great. One dared to suggest, the other dared to agree. Word spread quickly, and just like that, the matter was settled. A few days later, all their classmates arrived, except for Lilith and Stephen, and I also learned the whole story from their gossip. It turned out that after their failed attempt to frame Molly last time, the two of them had a falling out. On the eve of the college entrance exam, Stephen somehow got his hand broken by a group of thugs, and he believed it was Lilith who orchestrated it. He deliberately hid her ID card and exam admission ticket. They ended up in a fierce fight, both landing in the hospital, and thus missed this college entrance examination. They tried to orchestrate Timothy and Molly's breakup, never expecting the consequences to fall upon themselves. Truly, harm set, harm get. I turned to look at Timothy. He is sharing parenting tips with others. The guy who just got a younger sister next to him is listening attentively and taking notes. Meanwhile, on the other side, Molly is chatting and laughing with several girls. They're discussing which country to visit for their graduation trip. That's wonderful, and to have family who truly care for you in return. They will never again be lured and deceived by false affections. Linda, come take a group photo with us. Great. The classmates gathered on the lawn outside. Timothy and Molly held my hands as we stood in the middle. The butler helped us take this group photo. In the photo, the three of us are smiling warmly and brightly. The end. Extra mini scene. Lilith and Stephen tried to contact Timothy and Molly, only to find themselves blocked. In their panic, they went to their doorstep. This time, they couldn't even get past the villa's large iron gate. I didn't get to see them the entire summer vacation, because I was about to start kindergarten. On the first day of school, everyone had to bring a handmade craft and introduce themselves. Timothy and Molly went all out to make me the most stylish kid on the block. They worked tirelessly gathering materials, sketching designs, and repeatedly starting over. The two nearly got into another argument over this, to which I can only say, keeping up with the Joneses is not the way to go. Extra story end.